My dream was to work in the National Hurricane Center in Miami. It still is my dream, actually. But
Oh,
um, things didn't work out, and I sort of searched for a different direction. Took me a couple of years to figure out, you know, maybe law was the right direction for me.
hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Denise Tova, and today I am thrilled to be joined by someone, I'd say, whose writing, strategy, and courtroom presence have made waves across the New York family law scene. Bryce Levine is a partner at Jeffrey Schecter Associates, where he's handled some pretty complex divorce and custody cases out there. But today, just like with everybody else, we're going beyond the title and the accolades. And I'm curious to know what makes him tick, and what his interests are outside of the law, and just really overall his story. Bryce, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tanisa. Thank you for having me.
My true pleasure. We don't really know each other that well, mostly from the industry, so I'm really looking forward to it. Um, my favorite question is, tell me your story, and how did you get here?
Well, every time I tell the story, it's people find it very interesting. I did not want to be a lawyer when I was looking to see what I wanted to do for a career. What I was interested in doing was I wanted to be a meteorologist.
Wow.
Yeah, and I actually targeted my college search to colleges that had programs for that. And the college I went to, Albany University, has a very nationally recognized program for that. And I went there and with the intention of doing that. And my dream was to work in the National Hurricane Center in Miami. Um, it still is my dream, actually. But
Oh,
um, things didn't work out, and I sort of, searched for a different direction. Took me a couple of years to figure out, you know, maybe law was the right direction for me, and um, I went to law school at Hofstra. I came home from being upstate, and um, I was always interested in practicing matrimonial law, and I targeted my whole law school education and job search around that. And I worked for a family court judge after my first year in law school in Queens. I enjoyed that experience. And my second year in law school, I did a mass mailing of resumes to all the matrimonial firms in Nassau County. And Jeffrey Schecter called me. And I started here as a law clerk, and I have been here ever since. Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. We have to go back.
The meteorology
Meteorology.
thing is always is
Yes.
always a good thing. Yeah.
How far back can you remember? Were you watching movies that were sort of fascinating? The storm chasing movies, or how did it start?
Just watching stuff on TV.
Yeah.
I got a Commodore 64 from my bar mitzvah present, and one of the first programs or games, that wasn't a game, it was more like a program that I bought. It was called Forecast. Mr. G,
Yeah.
weather forecaster. He,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he didn't code the program, but the program was in his name, was based on him, and you were able to put in data and track storms and stuff like that. And for years, I would track the daily temperatures in Brooklyn, where I grew up. And when there would be a snowstorm or a blizzard, I would track the plotting of the storm on the program. It was a very primitive program, not like the stuff that you see today, um, but that was where I sort of got my start with that. And even now, I mean, I'm whenever there's a hurricane, no matter where it is, I'm always watching the Weather Channel. And last night's thunderstorms, I was watching the radar and stuff like that. And my younger son is actually very much into the weather as well. And he'll text me, and because he'll look at the radar on the phone and tell me, "You got to come home now. The thunderstorms are coming." And
Wow.
yeah. So we have interesting conversations about that.
I love that. This is great. Now, this is really that's something different. I you know, it's almost like, well, it's almost like it seems like there are more winds. And, you know, I often travel back to Colorado. I spent probably 2 decades there. And it just seems like all over the place. There's just the weather patterns are shifting, and especially with more winds. What is your take on it? Are you noticing the same?
You know, if you look at history, um, there's always climate shifts and climate changes, and you
Yeah.
know, people look back 500 years later from where we are now, they may see this as just part of how life is. Is some of it due to climate change? Probably. But climate change has been, a hallmark of Earth dating well back to beyond all the stuff that we're doing with, you know, greenhouse gases and stuff like that. I mean, we had an ice age 10,000 years ago, and we didn't have any industry back then, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just that's the way the Earth is. And it's the way nature is. And stuff like this is going to happen. And I think people with social media now, everything is so consumable online. People read things and they see things, and the weather is all over the place. It's being brought. It's not just now on the Weather Channel. Fox News has their own weather department, and and it's become a big political issue. So people are more sensitive about it now than they ever were. Um, and it's very listen, it's more noticeable now than it was before too. So
Yeah. No, that it is fascinating. I mean, and you hear about it more and more. My sister who lives in Switzerland, I think there was a ice melting that pretty much, I don't know if it buried the entire village, but somewhere, yeah. So yeah, it is just fascinating. And then of course, you have the storm chasing movies, and I think that has been obsession for for a very long time. Um, but yeah, that's wow. I don't even, and now you pulled me into it, and I love that stuff too. I mean, not to your degree. Do you use like today's technology? Let's see, let's say the AI um capabilities to do any sort of forecasting or analyze historical data in order to predict what might happen? I mean, do you get that deep with it?
not with AI. I don't know how much AI can track that stuff, but um, I have my own little personal weather station at home. It's not like something really big or anything, but it's attached to a website called Weather Underground where they track things. And I look at when I really want to get information, I don't look at I don't watch like the news channels for the weather updates. It's called the National Organization. It's called NOAA. I don't remember, National Organization of Atmospheric something or other. They have their own website, and their forecasts are very detailed. And if you go into they have an option to go into forecast discussion where it'll explain to you exactly why they're forecasting the way that they're forecasting in very scientific terms that even I can't follow them. But um, I like reading stuff like that, to get, especially when like big storms are coming. Like I'm very into hurricanes. I'm very into blizzards. I mean, I know they affect a lot of people in a very bad way, and I'm not minimizing that, but it's fascinating to me.
Have you ever been caught in, or what has been the worst sort of a weather um, event, whether it was a blizzard or probably not a hurricane, although I'm not excluding that. Have you been caught in any event like that yourself?
Um, I mean, we all lived through Sandy. I mean,
Right.
I didn't live in Long Beach or anything, so we were pretty much, other than losing power, we weren't really affected. But trying to think. Um, I mean, I went to school in Albany, so I lived through multiple huge storms up there. We were buried and weren't able to leave the house for like days at a time. And I was driving a car back then that was not conducive to snow. They didn't have there weren't many all-wheel drive vehicles at that point. I was driving a 1982 Buick Regal that had rear-wheel drive and was sliding all over the place
Oh,
like an ice skating rink.
mm,
Um, but I mean, I actually, people think this is weird about me. When there's a blizzard and I'm like home with my kids and so I go out in the middle of the storm and I walk around the neighborhood.
Really?
I love doing that. Yeah.
What about it?
I
What do you
don't know.
do?
I find it fascinating. I find nature fascinating. And
Hmm.
that's nature at its height. Um, and yeah, I've always been into that. And even in law school when I was living at home, 1996, I think we had a huge blizzard in New York City. I think it was the biggest snowfall they ever had. And I'm walking down in Brooklyn, where people
Yeah.
drive like crazy. I'm walking down the street in the middle of the blizzard in the pitch black of night, you know, walking for like 20 minutes, not able to see probably 10 feet in front of me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just you have to admire it. And I do say that Mother Nature, you really don't want to mess with. It's so powerful. And speaking of these powerful events, highly unpredictable, although some maybe more. I was actually in the middle of filming was it a podcast? I know I was doing the earthquake, the most recent earthquake we had on Long Island, actually, and that it hit New Jersey
Mm,
um, and everything started shaking. And
yeah.
I thought at first I'm thinking, is there construction going on? But it was not. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and that's scary when you
yeah.
feel something like that. You don't expect that to be something that happens here. And there was even a stronger one probably 6 or 7 years ago that our building was really shaking in that one. We were actually people in my office were running out of the building. It was scary actually, because our buildings are not made, I think, to earthquake standards like they do in California and places like that. But
No.
yeah, and I love stuff like that also. Nature stuff, and um, I used to watch National Geographic, about volcanoes and earthquakes and tsunamis, and you know, I'm very big into like disaster movies like Armageddon and Deep Impact and um, 2012, I think was the name of the movie with John Cusack. Um,
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm such a
yeah,
movie junkie too. I think so. Yeah.
yeah, I'm into that. My wife thinks I'm like 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 a dark, like you got this dark side about you where you like you're obsessed with disasters. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, but not, obviously not the tragic side of it and people getting hurt, like you
Yes, and
said.
it's obviously I
The
very sensitive
force.
to that. I'm not
Yeah.
reveling in it. It's just nature has always been fascinating to me. But like
Are
like
you
I said, my younger son is very much into that also.
is
So
he how old is he?
he's 14.
So he's really he has awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, I come home sometimes from work and he'll be watching YouTube videos about thunderstorms or tornadoes um, and hurricanes. And I remember we were in Disney World in 2019, and even then he was into the weather. And there was a hurricane that was supposed to hit Florida like the day that we were going to be leaving home to go home. And my son was, and I was paying attention to it on my phone to watch it. My son was very interested in what was going to happen. And um, when there's a thunderstorm, he's watching out the window. And a few years ago, he would hide in the basement, but now he's actually watching out the window and like watching for lightning and stuff like that. He's very interested in that.
Wow.
So,
You know, I I did I did a live television back in Denver for about 3 years, just part-time, just as a financial expert. But there was a meteorologist there, and he had a really good friend who had a PhD in and I don't know what specifically you would call the field, but so my friend who was a meteorologist, what they did is they decided to conquer what they call the bevies. So basically, the peaks, the tallest peaks throughout the entire United States, and there, I do not want to misquote it. I don't know if there are over 60 of them. I cannot remember. And they did, and not only that, to actually spend a night there. And there's a whole book that he published, And it was with his friend's help, who had a PhD in, what would you call it?
Atmospheric science.
Probably studied, could forecast or could understand, not forecast, but could understand weather patterns where, let's say there were a midway, hike and something was coming in, maybe they, I don't know that they actually returned, but that had a huge impact. So as you are articulating it, I'm thinking back to, really, I have this book and I'll share that with you sometimes, where they talk about that experience. So yeah, that's are you a skier?
No, tried it twice and I'm good.
Yeah, it's a little tricky. What is it? What is your so your wife seems to be understanding of this. Does she share your enthusiasm?
For the weather, not really. No.
Really?
My wife's from Israel, where the weather is basically, it's warmer, it's hot all year round.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
some rain sometimes, but there's no blizzards. I mean, they have snow in the mountains in the north, but you know, there's no snow. Doesn't rain that much. There's no extreme weather. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Do you guys travel quite a bit?
Not as much as we would like to. We actually talk about it all the time about we got to travel more, we got to travel more, and we don't. But we usually go away at least once a year somewhere nice. We like to cruise. Um, we're going on a cruise next month.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
yeah, out of New Jersey. So we like having everything at our, all the entertainment is there, the pool's there, the kids are occupied,
Yeah.
all the food's there. You don't have to travel anywhere to get there, and we like cruising. We like it a lot, actually. We've been to Alaskan cruises twice, um, which were the best cruises that we've taken. We love going to Alaska. I would move there if I could.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Because of the weather patterns?
The air there is so much different than it is here. You could feel how clean it is there.
Mm.
But the people there are so nice. Life is so simple there. People are nice, and you know, it feels so stress free there. And you could
Mm.
just feel it. I mean, listen, you're also walking through these tourist trap areas in the towns where this cruise take you, so you're not getting necessarily, the whole complete picture of how people live, but you can see things here and there about how people live. It's very, very simple, and I like that. We have a just very stressful job, and
Yeah.
even when you're away, you're not away, especially in this day and age. And people there don't seem to have as much stress as they do here. It's nice to see. And
Yeah, I'm
the nature
hearing.
there that you see things there that you would never see anywhere else. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's coming through when I'm listening to you, the words simplicity and nature, staying connected to nature, that seems to be important to you.
Yeah, it is. It is. I just wish I was able to do it more. I mean, you know, the job that we have and the hours that we work, you don't get as much of a chance to do that stuff as you would like or as I would like. But I'm hoping, that things will change at some point where I can do that more. Um, but yeah, I like that stuff.
You've been with the same firm since the 90s. That's a long time. That is a testament to something. What's the secret to building that kind of a long-term, professional relationship? And was it always your plan? Did you have a plan when you joined, or was it kind of like, let's just see what happens?
No, there's no plan. You know, um, I wanted to do matrimonial law. Um, and I got very comfortable here. I'm very close with the people I work with. Um, and we've become like a very close knit family. Um, and, I didn't want to work in a firm where you just go into your office and you close the door and you don't talk to anybody for all day. I didn't
Mm.
want that kind of environment. I never wanted that kind of environment. I, as stressful as this job can be with the nature of what we do, it's important to like the people that you work with and get along with them. And I have that here, and I'm comfortable with that. Um, I also don't like change, but the other stuff was the most important thing to me. And you know, listen, could that be in other places? Sure, but people are people, and I've known Jeff for since 1996, and we know how each other tick. We know our strengths and weaknesses. We play off of each other, and a lot of clients like how we do that. And the same with other people in my firm. The other three attorneys in our firm have been here for a long time. Two of them have been here over 10 years, I believe, at least. And our office manager has been here longer than me.
She's great.
And even though we fight about that, technically I've been here longer than her, but she'll.
You will not win.
No, I'm not going to win that. No. So, but we have a lot of long-term employees here, and there's a reason why for that. So, I like that.
Yeah, that gets lost sometimes. And what would what would be your advice to incoming attorneys? Something that you've learned yourself?
Don't do it. No, I'm kidding. Doing this or just practicing law in general?
Yeah, this or practicing law in general as they get out of law school and trying to park themselves.
Well, I mean, I only know from a matrimonial perspective. I mean, from a general perspective, and I certainly have made my mistakes along the way, and I still do. Don't let work consume you, and people who know me will tell you, look at the pot calling the kettle black. But it's a very stressful thing what we do, and sometimes it gets in the way of things that are more important. And I certainly have had that happen to me, and I regret letting that happen. I've, trying to change things as I've gotten older, and some things I've been able to change, some things I haven't been able to change, but it's very important to keep that balance, and not let this prevent you from doing the things that you like to do. So, and again, like I said, I'm guilty of that I have not always followed that mantra. I've been trying to be better about that the last couple of years, but it's hard to do. But you read a lot of things about lawyer burnout and mental health issues from lawyers that are working, 70, 80-hour weeks. There's more to life than billable time. And
yes,
sometimes we let our clients also, dictate how we live our lives. And again, I'm guilty with that too. And you would think after practicing for 27 years, I wouldn't let that happen, but it still happens, and it's hard, especially since COVID. I think the nature of our practice has changed significantly. Things have been cases have been more stressful now than they were before. I just feel. I don't know if other lawyers you've spoken to have felt that same way, but
yeah,
things are different now than they were before that, from my perspective, anyway.
Yeah. In what ways are you feeling the difference about these cases?
I feel the family dynamic of the divorces that we're handling is much more in conflict. More children with mental health issues than I've seen before. And I think everybody knows how COVID has impacted a lot of children because of the social isolation and stuff like that. But and the stress it's brought on parents, but sometimes the parents can't help but put it on the children, and it becomes a vicious cycle. But I've noticed these things. I don't know if I'm just being overly sensitive about it, but
yeah, no.
But I have spoken to other attorneys who have noticed certain dynamics of the kinds of cases that we're dealing with are different now than what they were before COVID. And in turn, that affects us because you have a stressed out client that's dealing with a lot of conflict at home. A lot of them will put that conflict on you because they feel that they can do that. Um, just the nature of the practice, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
a very big part of it, and a human part of it. And I think, look, I'm always skeptical when I ask the question, well, how do you deal with the emotional piece because of the stuff, the assets and all that stuff. Yeah, it is not easy, but it's not as complicated as human emotions. And I have observed the same. It seems not only the families, also, the, we call it adversaries, opposing counselors, really practitioners in general, having to carry a lot more.
mhm.
And people who say, well, let me see if I can say this, compartmentalize. It's okay, that's great, but I'm not, I'm a skeptic, because if you truly are ingrained in what you do, and after so many years, I'm sure you are, and many practitioners I've spoken with, they've been doing it for a very long time. I'm sure they are as well. Maybe they have found a way to cope with it, but I know it impacts everybody, which is why one of the reasons why I started this podcast, so that the outside and the adversaries, people can start seeing each other as people and have appreciation for what you do, which has now, I think, been elevated to not just help guiding them to divide assets and help them craft parenting plans, the custody issues, to really just a lot of hand holding and really just shepherding them through this process while maintaining sense of normalcy and showing up for your family as well. It's a lot.
It's very hard, and especially in this day and age, clients, because of email and texts, they feel they can reach you anytime that they want, and they will. Doesn't matter if it's 9 or 10 o'clock at night, or in the morning, or on a weekend. You know, they email you and they expect you to respond to them, and when they don't respond to them, I've gotten calls on a Monday, sometimes on a Monday, saying, "Hey, I emailed you Saturday. How come you didn't respond to me?" You
Yeah.
know, and our firm has an answering service. If it's an emergency, our answering service will reach whomever they're trying to reach, or at least another attorney in the firm if the other one's not reachable. But um, and I used to be very bad at this. I would respond to emails all weekend, and you know, it got to the point of where I had to say to myself, you know what, I have to shut that off, because clients then have an expectation that, oh, if I email him on a Friday night, he'll respond to me, and they have the expectation that you'll respond. And when you don't, some of them who are more, you know, emotional than others will be mad about that. And it didn't used to be that way when I first practiced. We had email, but it wasn't to the extent that it is now. And you know, certain clients do have my cell phone number, and I will get phone calls and texts from them during the weekend. And it's, sometimes it could be intrusive. It just, but clients have an expectation of that they can reach you on this day and age. And, it's our job to sort of manage those expectations and sort of let them know that I may not respond to you if you email me on a Friday night until Sunday night or Monday morning. And if it's an emergency, please call the office and the answering service will reach me. But if you just send me an email, and that's your way of contacting me, it's not necessarily that urgent.
Right.
But they have
Right.
an expectation that you're going to respond, because it's so easy to be communicating with people that way now. And it's hard to keep those expectations in line. So
Certainly. It's not easy. And now even social media, I mean, you can easily DM somebody, same thing on LinkedIn. And yes, there is, like, what I think part of the reason behind the heightened sort of um the tension is because everyone wants to get everything done yesterday, and instead of just staying in a moment. We have a saying, like, if the caseload, I mean, it's obviously high volume, and we say, well, there's no such thing as a quadro emergency. So, I mean, really, it's there. right? It's their sort of an emergency. It's certainly not ours. You just have to stay consistent and stay true to yourself first and foremost. So no, it's a very important and sometimes thankless work that you do. And I want to thank you for being, vulnerable and so honest, and I'm sure very, very helpful to other practitioners. Trust me, there are those who are having exactly the same thoughts and even questioning whether they should stay in this industry.
Mhm.
Um, as we're winding down, any parting message or thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience?
Um, I think this podcast is fantastic. I think it's being able to reach people and like you said, getting to know a side of them that we may not see in the courtroom or in the conference room, I think is a great thing. Um, because we lose our humanity sometimes in what we're doing. It's not just, fighting about asset divisions and parenting time on a holiday or, um, you know, we're all people.
Yeah.
And, you know, and at the end of the day, and I always say this, I say this a lot, clients come and go, but, we're still here and we have relationships with each other as lawyers. And we shouldn't let our clients affect those relationships because they do come and go. And, you know, I met a lot of attorneys doing what I do that I consider friends and who I will not hesitate to reach out to if I have an interesting question just to bounce an idea off of them. And I get the same phone calls, and the people I work with, we're the same way with each other. Then can't let the clients necessarily dictate that. We have a job, and we should do our job very well, but not get lost and not lose ourselves and not change who we are because of that. I've been very conscious of not changing the person that I am
Mm.
just because of what we do for a living. So, and I would anybody who's going to become a lawyer, I would tell them to do that. Don't lose yourself in what you do. Don't change yourself. Um, Obviously, we all evolve, but don't become a you know, don't lose what makes you a nice person because you feel you have to be this overly zealous, litigator and in your face kind of person. I just feel that that's not the way to go, in my opinion. But I guess those are my parting words, so to speak.
Thank you. No, I love this message. And I love how we started the conversation with your passion that had nothing to do with the law, because you've just it's like glimpse into sort of the humanity. It's like you said, as we're raising the humanity, and sometimes it's not the client, it may be the other practitioner. I hate the word adversary. I mean, that alone has such a negative connotation.
Mhm.
Humans, excuse me, having the same sort of fears and dreams, and we have so much in common that gets lost sometimes. So
Yep.
Bryce, thank you so much for sharing yourself here today. It's been a true pleasure.
Thank you, Denise. It was wonderful to be on here. Thank you for the invite, and it was great to talk about this stuff. It was a nice break from the day, and um, I know everybody in my office is eager to see what I said. So,
Yes, I think we'll have to do part two on chasing the storms. This is such a fascinating stuff. I may have to hit you up for some more movie recommendations. Some of the stuff out there is just it's just not as interesting. But yeah, I'm fascinated too. So thank you. And to our listeners and viewers, make sure that you click on the bio link below to find out how to get hold of Bryce. And make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beyond the Bar Podcast. And until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.